Hello, my spooky friends, and welcome to another episode of Dairyland Frights, the spooky, creepy, and mysterious paranormal podcast that covers everything in the Midwest and beyond. And oh my goodness, I have a legend on today, and I really do. I'm glad she looked at my little podcast and said, I'll give him some love. I'll throw some love at him, and I appreciate that. I have Sophia. How you pronounce your last name? Temperelli?
Yeah, Temperelli. We may be mispronouncing it, but that's what we go with.
Okay.
If an Italian
stay
person
with
corrects
that.
you, then I don't know what to tell you, but that's what we say.
So she not only is a paranormal investigator, and she's on sites like ghosthunting.com and liveparanormal.com, she is also the host of her own podcast, The Ghost Host. So welcome, Sophia.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be on, and I appreciate you, reaching out to me and having me on. It's a lot of fun. Sorry, I can't talk today. It's a lot of fun being on. My guest today was Spanish speaking, so I guess that just linguistics went a little wired there. But it's a lot of fun being on the other
Spanish,
side.
Tacos, burritos.
That's
Mexican.
about mine. I am Mexican, but my grandma didn't teach any of us. It was her own secret language, so it's still a secret to me.
By the way, they have some great paranormal cryptids, stories, ghosts, right? I mean, it's a great culture. It's a great culture.
I love it. I'm super happy I'm in it, not only because of the food. I think my grandma's great though. Big fan of the Mexicans. Very glad I am one. But I don't speak Spanish, so
Yes.
It's great. It's a great trait. I just sit there and nod.
Yeah, you just kind of go, yeah.
And then I just look at my grandma and hope she's not saying anything that I don't want people to know. I'm just like, yep.
So let's start out with the first hard-hitting question. The Chupacabra, which is a cryptid, is that Mexican or is that Spanish?
I believe it's Mexican. My knowledge of that is according to Scooby-Doo and the Monster of Mexico. So I would just go with that.
Let's go with that.
Love a good Scooby-Doo. Very knowledgeable. Learned about Quetzalcoatl, the Aztecs. A lot of fun. I learned not through school, through Scooby-Doo, but who's a better teacher?
So, Sophie, did you start out, let's be honest, you started out with Scooby-Doo, but what else gave you the love of the paranormal? Because you've been in it a long time, and it must be something that keeps you motivated and excited to continue down your paranormal path.
Well, I always loved weird stuff, so I think that really kind of started the interest. Currently, it's trauma. I'm traumatized from living into a haunted house, and so it's like, you know what? Even if I left the field tomorrow, I'm still gonna have that trauma, so it's like, why not stick with it? Just work with the trauma.
Wait. You're in a haunted house right now?
No, thank God. I moved. Very, very happily moved, but I used to live in a haunted house.
Okay. I don't want to bring up anything. I want to bring up bad memories and reopen old wounds, but you got to tell my audience, did you move because of why?
When I was younger, it was hard to talk about. I'm pretty used to it now. He's the proverbial monkey on my back, my lifelong tormentor, which is awesome. But I don't deal with him anymore, so I think that's like A+. Luckily, he didn't move with me. And we moved due to external factors, but I was raised in the house from like the day I came home from the hospital. My dad lived there when he was a child, and he had to move out when he was around 9. But when I was around 9 years of age, I started feeling like I was being watched everywhere. It was constant. And I had already been in the paranormal a year at this point. And then one day I was in my parents' bedroom and I saw a man standing in their closet, which I knew wasn't a real person. I knew it was a ghost. So I told my parents, and my mom didn't know what to think, but she didn't want to tell me I was wrong. My dad just flat out told me it was my imagination, and he wrote a book for psychics, so I thought that was really open-minded and refreshing. It just was something I kind of dealt with, and I don't know the exact timeline because I was so young, but shortly after that, when my cousin was down, her and my mom were standing in her vanity area, and she heard 3 knocks from the inside of her closet door, and obviously no one's in there, so they grabbed an EVP recorder and we caught EVPs, and the activity really picked up from there. But the ghost was primarily focused on women. Men didn't have any experiences with him. And so it was just a really hard experience because I was essentially being stalked by the ghost. which is really difficult, I think, at any age, but especially when you're between the ages of 9 and 11. And
Right.
I was really happy when I moved out, but just because, you're in essentially like a prison for many years and not feeling like, your home's where you should feel safe, and I didn't.
Absolutely.
So for me, I kind of still deal with like PTSD because of it and stuff, because
Sure.
it's just hard when you have someone standing over you constantly and don't get a break.
And I'm glad you said that. I don't know if you have this in your podcast, or maybe you can on your investigations, but one of the biggest things is people like you have had that as experiences and they keep it trapped, right? And they keep it inside and they don't want to bring it out. Have you ever had anyone just come up to you just out of the blue? Let's say, I don't know, you're at the grocery store and maybe they heard your podcast or they've seen you TV or whatever you want to say. And it's gone, hey, can I tell you something? When I was a little girl, this happened to me. Has that ever happened to you?
I've had people do that like when I was in high school and stuff.
Mm.
Kids would come up to me. I had a paranormal club for a short amount of time, but then I realized it's very hard to wrangle 40 kids and take them on an investigation, and so that didn't work out very well. But I've had things like that. I had someone listen to a radio show I had been on and talking about my haunted house, and they had tweeted me and said that they were sorry I went through it, but they were glad to know that someone else was experiencing something similar because their son was going through that. I'm like my friendly local neighborhood hermit, so I luckily don't have like people coming up to me at a grocery store, because that would actually mean I would have to go to a grocery store. So I'm the friendly local hermit. I'm a gamer, so my interests lie other places.
I love it. I love it. I love that. Me and you are on the same page. So, was that your first experience, or did you have an experience before that of a paranormal experience?
Yeah, so I think living in a haunted house, I think I was having experiences there from before I can even remember. Because my mom and my grandma remember when I was very little, like old enough to walk, not old enough to talk. I would go and stand with my back against the door into the garage, basically frozen, and my mom would have to come over and reach for my hand, and then I would move. So I think I was having those experiences from before I can even remember. But my first experience that I had where I actually was cognizant would have been when I did my very first investigation on the RMS Queen Mary. And I was taking a tour with Peter James, who hosted the tours there.
Yeah.
And I saw a ghost, or at least what Peter felt was a ghost, when I told him what I had seen. And I don't know, I guess I was a twisted 8-year-old, and I was like, this is awesome. So I was like, yeah, keep doing it.
I love those stories. I've had other guests on. They said I was the type of girl or boy reading the ghost books in the library and taking them home, and my parents were kind of worried about me. Like, okay.
Well, luckily my
Also,
parents are eccentric, so.
that's great. And they would tell stories too. They would have a special friend in their room they would talk to, and they wouldn't think anything of it. I've not been that blessed to have that, unfortunately. And it's funny to me. I think you're very brave for what you put up with, and people don't understand. It's not like you can see what's coming. So let's say, God forbid, someone physically attacks you, a man or a woman, a dog, it doesn't matter, right? That's there. You can see that. So you can kind of like, okay, go to the police and say, hey, so blah, 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 right? Here it's different. You can't go to the police and be like, hey, this entity is attacking me. You don't have that option, but you do have a great paranormal, really community, as I like to say. All my guests here have always said they love to help, like any way they can help. Do you consider like how you can help, or do you kind of distance yourself? Like if you have people again write to you or whatever, did you ever do paranormal investigations where you're like, okay, this is what I can do to help? Or
I don't personally. I'll connect them with a psychic that I feel could help them. In my personal home haunting, I did not receive help really. We had people come out and sage. It did not remove the ghost. They blamed me that it wasn't gone. They said I was the one doing it. Mind you, I'm 9.
yeah,
And so
right.
I didn't really get that. I'm not saying people can't help. I'm just saying in my experience, I did not receive help, and I don't know if you can help in those situations. I had a girl from high school reach out one time, and she said that she was experiencing a ghost and she didn't know what to do. So I talked to our psychic friend, and he said that the ghost was trying to distract her from things in her life that she was worrying about. So it was a good spirit trying to help her, like, pull her head away from those situations. And in that, knowledge helped her. So I think in those terms it can. For multitude of reasons, I don't personally do home hauntings. One, I just feel like it's kind of too close for me. And two, I'm 26 and I've been investigating since I was 8, but I feel like when you're doing home hauntings, if you're really going in there to help, you have to have a certain set of life skills
Yes.
or
Yes.
ways in which you can
Yeah.
relate to someone. I can't relate to a parent who's going through that with their children. My parents
No.
could, but I can't. I could
Yeah,
relate to the kid, but I don't know that I have the skills to help them in that. And you know, you have to help try and diagnose if someone's mentally ill. Like in my haunted house, right? My grandfather, my dad's adopted, he was a paranoid schizophrenic, but I believe that the ghost in there was also preying on his mental illness. So you have gray areas where it could be a haunted house and someone has a mental illness, something that can be debunked. And so I feel like there's so many layers and such a gray area when you're dealing with people's real lives and things that they can't just walk away from, that I feel like at least people who do that need to have a certain set of life skills that me as a 26-year-old, I do not have.
I hear you. And you know, you don't know, from talking to all these paranormal investigators I've had on the show and all these mediums, and you have your guests and spoken to, everybody's different. And you know, they've been in situations, they have told me, where the person's like, there's a shadow in here. There's a ghost. It's attacking me. I know it's attacking me. And these, you know, paranormal investigators are like, there's nothing here. We're not finding anything. Or it's
Yeah.
a leaky pipe. Or
Yeah.
it's your furnace being weird. And they, you know, everybody, let me ask you this, because all my paranormal investigators always say the same thing to me. They want to debunk it. They don't go in wanting, well, that's not necessarily true, but most of the time they want to debunk it. Seeing a ghost and getting evidence, that's great. Love that. However, when they do homes, they want to do where they debunk it, as well as other investigations. You kind of feel that way too, Sophie, that when you just want to, like, I kind of want to debunk it first, and that doesn't work. Let's go to the next level.
Yeah, I definitely am. Even though I lived in a haunted house, I would say I'm still like largely skeptical. Like, I don't believe
Really?
everything everyone shows me at
Yes.
all. I just, like, I don't know, trust issues or something.
Yeah.
And so I, you know, when I do investigations, I want to see what's causing it, because the internet's a harsh place. And if I'm going to share something, I want to make sure that I go through all the options first before
Absolutely.
someone's like, this is so obvious. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't think of it. So I try and find every option, not only just because I want actual evidence, but because I want it to be something where, you know, people don't have to believe in the paranormal. They don't, that's fine. That's not my job to make people believe. But I want it to be something where people at least can't find a fault in it, I would say. So I think it's super important on investigations to go over all the angles, you know, ask other people's opinions and try and see if it is something that you can explain immediately, or if it's something that, you know, maybe could be paranormal.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever been on an investigation or talking to somebody that really frightened you? Like, you went like, oh my God, like, how did you get through this? And anything you can tell me about that?
You mean, like, have I talked to other people that, like, went through
Whether
something
you
that was
talked to
scary?
another person and they told you a story on your podcast, or through an investigation where you were truly scared, where you're like, I'm scared. Like, you know, this is enough. I got to get out of here.
I mean, for me, living in a haunted house would be that. In terms of other people's stories, I would honestly say it's more like physical stuff people have said that scare me. Like, someone told me on a show they sat on a rusted, like, needle at a location. I had Keith Age on. He said that he thought he was stepping on a power cord. He was stepping on a bobcat tail. So those stories make me more physically uncomfortable than, like, any of the paranormal stories, because that doesn't sound fun. I don't want to step on a bobcat. I don't want to he didn't get attacked, luckily, but, like, I don't have a desire to do that. I mean, maybe pet the bobcat, but I'm not going to do that either.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
It's
that's
like,
funny, because you get like two different things. So I've spoken to, and I don't mean to come across being sexist or anything like that, but what I found out in the paranormal world is women take the brunt of, I don't know, actions. So, for example, talking to female investigators in a prison,
Mhm.
they've investigated a prison. They've gotten their hair pulled, they've gotten pushed, and usually the guy or guys with them, typically nothing really happens to them. Do you wonder why, like, why do women get the brunt of, like, being in an asylum, being in a prison, eh, other than men are jerks? I don't know what to say.
I mean, I'd say that's pretty much what it comes down to. I mean, the ghost in my house was a creep. He was only
Mm,
focused on women. So,
yeah,
you just have different personalities. I mean, I'm sure if like maybe a man went to an all women's prison, they might get that type of response as well. I don't know. But I think it really just comes down to the type of location, the type of people that were held there, and what they
yeah,
would be most drawn to, which I guess is not a man. So,
yeah,
I mean, you're going to a prison, they don't see women, so of course they're going to want to talk to a woman more. If you're in a children's school, the children are probably going to be more inclined to talk to a woman than a man. Their school teachers were most likely a woman. Maybe someone reminds them of their mom. So I think it really just comes down to not only when you're dealing with creepy spirits, they're going to be more inclined to talk to a woman, but also maybe for younger spirits, a more of a maternal energy.
yeah,
So I think it really just
yeah,
comes down to that.
yeah. Do you feel you're sensitive? Like, sensitive
Yeah.
to different things? Okay?
Yeah.
And
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
oh, no, 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 go ahead.
Yeah, I would definitely say I'm sensitive. I'm not psychic, but I can definitely pick up on stuff. I'm more like a smoke detector, like it can tell you something's there, and I'm not useful beyond that at all. Not helpful, really. Any ghosts I've seen are like shadow figures, which is like,
Ooh, shadow
what kind
figure.
of skill set is that? It's not okay, it's not very helpful. It's just an
It's
indescript
helpful.
shadow.
Yeah, yeah,
And so I can tell like if a ghost is like good or bad, but it's if a spirit wants me to know it's there. I can't just like walk into a grocery store and like pick stuff up, which would like earlier involve me walking
yeah,
into a grocery store. But yeah, I mean I feel like I'm fortunate in that because I talk to so many psychics and them having that on and off switch is very hard for them. And after living in a haunted house, I like being able to come home and not deal with that. So I
yeah.
like having that paranormal real life balance.
Yeah. Did you ever see, I've never lived in a haunted house, but I've spoken to people
Mhm.
who have and still are. And this would blows me away. This makes no sense because I'd be like, I'm Audi 5000. I'm like, I'm gone. You know what I'm saying? Just day to day. Like, you know what I mean? When you're in a house, you went to school, I imagine, right?
Yes, I
You'd
did.
get up, you'd brush your teeth, you would eat breakfast or whatever you do, and you'd always have that. Did you just ever just say, like, I'm not going back? I'm not going back home. You can't make me. Do you ever have a day like that?
I mean, there were many times I definitely wanted to move out, because I just couldn't see the rest of my life going like that. And I'm really happy I didn't grow older in that house because he was so attached to me and just very bad of a spirit that I'm very happy I didn't have my more formative years in that house.
Right, right.
But I definitely was I don't miss the house at all. I was very happy. For a while there, I couldn't drive by it because it just disturbed me
Yeah,
too
I was
much.
gonna ask you.
And it's just one of those things where like if someone offered me $1 billion, like literally $1 billion, I will never step back in that house because
Really?
I won't do it because it's not worth it to me to go through that for the rest of my life. If he saw me today and decided to attach himself to me, it's
Ooh,
just not worth it. And
mm,
so for me, I am very happy to be out of that house. People are like, "Don't you want to go back and know what happened there?" Nope, I don't care. That's no, no, I'm not trying to be callous, but like
yeah.
that's the new owner's problem. Like I can't put myself in that situation again.
Did you tell the owners it was haunted?
No, we didn't sell the house. So it was that was on someone else, and so that was we had no part of the sale and anything. And where I lived there were a lot of like same-sex couples, so like if two men had moved into the house, they probably would never have an experience, quite honestly. So it's not something where I can even say that the next people that moved in would have had an experience.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Speaking of an experience, we were talking about this offline. I almost bought the Amityville Horror House this close. So here's the funny story, and I know there I get a lot of I'm right now. People once they listen to this episode, eye rolling. Not again, John. But You don't know this, so I will tell you. So when it went up for sale, it was up for sale for like $300,000. So it wasn't,
Mhm.
I could do. I'm not trying to brag, but I could do.
You're like, "I
Anyway,
got this."
I got this, right? So this is the hilarious part. So Sophie, I call the real estate agent and I'm like, I'm coming out there, I'm visiting the house. And she can tell, like, I'm overexcited. I'm like a little kid on Christmas. Whee! This is the greatest thing ever. And she immediately goes, "You're into the paranormal, aren't you?" She could just tell. And I'm like, how'd you know? She goes, "Nobody's that excited over this house." And she's been selling in the area
Mhm.
for 30 years. She knew the DeFeos. She knew that. And she knew the whole story. In fact, her friend of a friend was at the bar when DeFeo came in, who shot, the whole entire family came in. And I
Yeah.
think he said something to the fact, "Oh my God, somebody shot the family or I killed the family," or something like that. She knows that. So she's tied into everything. And the super funny thing she goes to me, she goes, "Sweetie, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not haunted. That's all bullshit. It's totally
Mhm.
made up." And I'm like, "No." She's like, "Yes, I'm really," and I'm like, "Oh, come on." And she's like, "Listen, the Fails are all on drugs.
Mhm.
The List family who moved in there made it all up. I knew them. I sold them the house. They knew the whole thing, what was going in. It's totally made up." Anyway, so we're talking, I'm like, I'm coming down there anyway. So I go down there. Oh my God, it is so gorgeous. It's just this beautiful old house, hardwood floors. You can go look it up. It's got a little boathouse. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is how do we do this? And then I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I had kids and stuff and,
Mhm.
younger kids at the time. Anyway, so I'm talking to the owners and I just went over there and talked to them and they were just like, "Nope, nothing, zip." And I'm like, "Oh, come on, guys." And then I called the former owners, and I'm like, "Anything?" They're like, "Nope, nothing." And then I called the real estate agent, and she's like, "I told you, I told you." And so we were talking, and throughout, I've spoken to paranormal investigators, and they even and see what you think. Either they say there was something attached to the children, the List children who were there, and then it just went away. But touring that home and being in that home, nothing, zip, zero. I didn't feel anything weird. They showed me the gate, the house. So if you go down, there is a storage area. It is supposed to be red bricks. That's the gates to hell. I went in there, stuck my head in there, didn't feel weird at all. They showed me the area where the flies supposedly came in, attacked the priest. So if you want to watch the Amityville Horror, go watch it. Nothing, so zero. And I'm like, man, this is gonna suck. Long story short, couldn't work it out because it's in Amityville, New York. And
Yeah.
the other thing was people they come to your house. Like you look out your window and there'll be some guy standing on your lawn taking pictures. Also, owners have told me paranormal investigators have tried to break into the house in order to get stuff. They have come to the house and offered money. And these former owners, like, it's a real pain in the ass when you're sitting there, it's 3 a.m. and you're getting up to go to the bathroom or something, and you look out and you see some people taking pictures or taking videos on their phone. And I was like, yeah, I'm not putting my kids through
Yeah.
that. Right? You know?
Yeah, they're like, "The worst thing about living here is actually the living."
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I love that quote. And it was, now I think it's going for a mill or something. But
Mhm.
you know, to me, it's like, well, what was really funny after this too, the real estate agent, I wanted to try to get her on the podcast, but she passed away last year.
My god.
She was
I thought she said
she
no. Oh my god. That was and not a good reaction to the moment you said that. I'm sorry for your loss. That's awful.
no, she was like, I was trying to get her on it anyway, she passed away. But the biggest thing about it was she told me, she goes, "John, if you want a haunted house, I got plenty I could show you." She goes, and we never got to that level, but it's weird. So you lived in a haunted house that totally affected you, that really affected to your soul, basically. And then this is famous, right? Everybody in the paranormal business, whether you've been in a year or like you, since you've been 8, knows about it and knows there's some type of, curse or whatever, and it's not true. But do you have any thoughts on that? Do you think it was just haunted for a little while and kind of like your house, like the spirits just didn't attached to other families, or what do you think?
I think, and from what I've heard, they did make up the story, so that's always a plausible
Yeah.
explanation. But since there was real tragedy there, I guess there's always a chance that the the spirits just don't want to show themselves to a lot of people. I mean, if I was dead, I'd probably be really annoyed with people showing up to my house constantly.
Yeah.
I don't like when people do that and they're alive. It's just, if they find the right person, maybe they would show themselves. Like, I went to a haunted location recently, very haunted. We caught tons of stuff, right? I'm a sensitive. I didn't feel a thing in the house, which was really
Really?
weird. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was weird. I was like, fine. I was like chilling. So, but we caught tons of stuff. It was definitely haunted. So, I think it just comes down to the spirits themselves too, and if they want to present themselves or not, or there's nothing there. But I would say it's one of those things where it's just like time will tell, I guess, because maybe that right person will walk in and they'll want to show themselves, or maybe there's just nothing there and they
I
moved
agree.
on.
I agree. Remember, these were people at one time, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you and me. I'm kind of a recluse too. I'm kind of a homebody.
Mhm.
And like, all right, come on in. And you know what I mean? I'm not trying to be
Yeah.
mean or anything, but you know what I'm saying. So,
Yeah.
like, if I haunt this house, I'll be like, okay, guys, time to go.
Yeah.
And
Oh
I'll
my
be like
god.
moving stuff.
And you're like, my god, no, 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 not my room. It's like, it's awful. No, when you said the realtor passed, I'm like thinking she was like, oh, I'm done with the Amityville house. Like, no, I'm done. I sold it again. And then you said away, and I was like, oh, early reaction. I was like horrified. So like when I cleared that up, oh my god, I was like, oh, you were like, she passed, and then you said away, and I was like, oh, bad reaction, bad timing.
So I need to get your feeling on some. This is the biggest topic I always bring up, and I get two different points of view, excuse me. Orbs. I think they're nothing. I think 99% it's dust. What do you think about orbs?
I think it's probably dust or a bug, but also I'm just been in here since I was 8, and so I mean, I may not trust everything I see, but I'm not going to tell someone they're wrong. If you feel like it's an orb, I'm not going to argue with you either, because I'm not the evidence police really, because I can't tell someone that their experiences are wrong, because
Yeah.
someone might not believe my experiences, which is understandable. So I mean, I don't personally believe in them, but I'm also not going to like go online and critique someone because it's just not my business.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't like when people are like, that's blah 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 blah. I
Mhm.
saw it. It says whatever. I'm like, okay. And then me being stupid, I get on there and I'll be like, dude, it's reflection off the glass. It's like a prism kind of thing. It's just no, 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 no. You're wrong. And I get into this ridiculous. Probably a 12-year-old. It's probably on there. You know what I mean?
Well, the way I see it too is sometimes like if they feel it's like a past relative or something,
Oh, okay.
I think it's fine if people believe that, because even if it's a bug, if it makes them feel better or comforted, then maybe the bug is a sign from their relative. If it's something that makes them feel more peaceful with a passing in their life, then
Yeah.
I
Well, I
just,
agree.
even if it's not real paranormal evidence, I feel like the meaning it has is more important than semantics with people. And so
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not inclined to believe orbs, but if it means something to someone, then who knows? I don't know. Maybe the dust was sent by someone, and I'm not trying to
Yeah.
be funny about that. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know how ghosts present themselves in the most exact way. So
Yeah.
I also see other people's points of view and how it could mean something more to them.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one of the most important things too, is remembering the topic. And if it is like someone being like, this is an orb of my loved one, and it's clearly a moth. I saw a video like that, so that's what I'm referencing.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, that made them
Yeah.
happy, and
Sure.
their relative would be happy that they're happy, thinking it was a sign. So go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's kind of debatable about I don't know, different things. Because yes, I've had people where I knew it was my dad, because my
Mhm.
dad would he called I don't know, my nickname was Butterfly. He used to call me Butterfly. And then when he
Mhm.
died, a butterfly landed on my uh hand. And like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's sweet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't like where people are like, Oh my God, this place is super haunted. There's like 100 orbs. It is
Yeah,
crazy,
I'm just
man.
like, it's a very dusty
Yeah, come on.
abandoned building, and then I'm just like,
Yeah, right.
yeah,
Yeah.
just
How
because also
about
people too, if they believe that, they're like, there's literally nothing you
there's
can say
nothing you
that's
can
gonna
do?
change that. So I'm
Yeah,
just
there's
like,
nothing you can do.
good work.
Yeah,
'Cause
nothing you could
I'm just
do.
gonna kind of
Nothing.
stay in my own plane there. So I feel
Yeah,
like it's kind of like a double-edged sword where some people see it as a sign and want that, and that's good for them. It's helpful, I think, in their grief process, but then also people trying to say that the
yeah,
ball of dust is evidence,
yeah,
and I'm just like, you know what, that's someone else's
yeah.
banner to take up.
So this is what I see. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think you have a room in your house full of cursed dolls. Am I right?
No.
No,
I don't even
way
like
off.
dolls. I don't even have a spare room in my house.
Come on, you do.
I
No,
have 3 dogs. I consider them cursed, I have a
that's not the same.
chihuahua, so, No,
Okay.
I've never had dolls. I
No,
don't No, I don't like them
and why don't you like them?
because they're creepy.
Hello, yes.
You know what? I'm not the person in a horror movie that's gonna hear something go hello. I'm gonna leave. So I like to think that I have self-preservation skills, and
Thank
that's
you.
on my list of that.
Thank you.
Where I think maybe you could have gotten that information from is
Thank
my
you.
mom's best friend, Debbie Constantino, had a room full of dolls in her home.
Killing me. No, 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 no. The reason I'm having fun with you, obviously,
I
but
was like, where did you even hear that? I thought I was going crazy for a
I
second.
didn't. I just put it out there on the internet. It must be true.
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia. I gotta change that. John's messing with it again. The reason I mentioned that is because I've interviewed
9
people.
out of 10 investigators have a room full of dolls in their
I
house.
know. What's wrong with these people?
I
I
don't know.
interviewed these paranormal investigators, and she brought them to show me on the show. Okay, I am the biggest scaredy wimpy chicken. You put a cursed doll, like if you'd say, "Hey John, it isn't so bad," and you held and tried to give it to me, I'd be like, "Nope," and I'd be like running, and you literally have to chase me because I would not take it. They freaked me out, and she was holding this cursed doll, and I swear to God, Sophie, its eyes open. So they close when you kind of move the
Mhm.
doll. I swear to God, its eyes open and looked at me, and I said to her name was Michelle. I said, "Michelle, its eyes just opened and looked at me," and she goes, "Yeah, she does that." And I'm
Yeah,
like,
they
"Well,
love talking about things matter-of-factly too, and it's like, "Oh, they're cool."
yeah,
Yeah.
look at this." And then she brought another one. And then I'm like, "Ho, ho, ho, whoa, 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 whoa. How many do you have?" And she goes, I have a room full of these. I collect them." And I'm like, "Oh my God."
Well, my mom's best friend, before she passed away, Debbie Constantino, she did have a room full of dolls, and I kid you not, she loved taking EVP session with dolls, haunted or not. She just like felt she could get EVPs, and she watched the movie Annabelle and wanted to get rid of all of them after, which I thought was like, shouldn't you love this? I don't know, but no, like it's almost like someone's child. I'm not going to be the one to drop the haunted doll. I'm not going to be the one to drop your child. You hold that, and you are responsible. You're its keeper. I'm good with that. My cousin was like, "You wanna pick up my kid?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna drop it."
So one thing I'm going to do, because I think this is bullshit on this one. I'm calling bullshit on this one. And I'm not trying to debunk all this stuff, but so the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine Warren, have Annabelle. And Annabelle, if you've seen it, you can go anywhere, Google it on the internet. It is a Raggedy Ann and Andy doll, and it's cursed, and they keep it behind in a box behind a glass. Now, explain this to me. Why would you even keep it? Number one, if it is that bad, right? You would destroy it. And number two, people are morons and they're gonna grab it and they're gonna do. And then if they fall and break their leg, it's the doll. Do you believe that? Do you really believe there is a cursed doll with that much power to do something?
I don't know. Like I said, I may not have like strong feelings on certain topics, because I don't have enough information in that specific topic, so I don't like. I feel like more people are more qualified to answer it. But you have like Patrick the doll and stuff. There's like a lot of dolls with that, and
Yes.
so I'm more like I've heard ghosts and legends and stuff, like myths and legends, and I was like, "Oh, that would be really cool to go look at." A lot of them are really dark. Like, one of them I saw was, like, if you go to this one spot and see a ship passing at a certain time of night, someone in your family's gonna die. And it's like, certain things I just don't want answers to because I have self-preservation, so it's like, I
Yeah.
technically could have a more strong thing on the haunted dolls, but I feel like that would mean spending time with them, and if they really
Yeah.
are that bad, I
Yeah.
don't wanna be the one at the
Right.
brunt end of that. So, I'm not gonna say no, and I'm not gonna say yes
Okay.
because I don't have enough information to say no, and I'm not gonna say yes because I don't want to figure it out to have that answer.
Oh, okay. So what you're saying is if I, for Christmas, send you a cursed doll,
Mhm.
you're probably gonna send it back, or would you keep it?
I would definitely send it back. I would
Okay.
make sure that I don't know, might send it to my friend. He seems like
There
he
you
wants
go.
a haunted doll.
There
I
you go.
told him that. We went to a haunted place and I was like, "Oh, the stables are really haunted. You should go up there in the hayloft." And he's like, "You were gonna send me up there by myself?" And I'm like, "No." Yes, that was the answer, really. Because I thought there was a ladder and I'm not climbing the ladder.
Yeah, yeah.
I have acrophobia. I don't need to be on a ladder,
Mhm,
especially a
mhm.
haunted stables ladder.
Yeah.
There was no ladder. But
Yeah, yeah.
he was like, "You were gonna send me up there by myself." I'm like, "No." So I'd be like, "You look like you want a haunted doll." And he'd probably be happy. So
Okay, there
I
you
like
go.
to share the love.
There you go.
I would share
There
it
you
with
go.
someone else. You know, like double it, pass it to the next
Yeah,
person.
yeah. I don't know if it's still on eBay, but there used to be a haunted laptop.
Mhm,
Some guy claims that he had a satanic ritual over it, and then he like buried
mhm.
it, and they did all the like, come on, man. What the laptop probably does not work, and why would I want a haunted laptop that I'm trying to get some work done, right? Like, I got to get this podcast out, and damn it,
Well here's a few things. 1, computer virus. That's always an
yeah, there you
initial
go.
thought. 2, say it is haunted, say it's a helpful ghost. You could get double the work done. Because while you're typing something, they're typing something in the background, you could really just knock a
I
lot of
like
work
that.
out.
I like
I mean,
that.
because
See, now you're thinking.
I don't know, it could be a helpful demon. I don't know that. But, I like to go the benefit of the doubt of haunted laptops because I don't want one, but I also am a procrastinator, so I don't think I need double the speed for the work because, that would ruin my methods.
Hmm.
But other people, proficiency, you forgot to send the email to your boss, the ghost will do it for you. Lots
I
of
love
help.
it. I love it. There you go. Sophie's thinking outside the box. I might get that now. I think I
Yeah.
will.
It's great. It's very helpful, streaming the ghost is typing in the chat for you so you don't have to pay attention. Really good work. You get to see insights from the other side. You ask them questions, they type you back. It's like you got mail or something, but like with a
Yeah.
ghost in your laptop.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I think I'm going to do it with my phone tonight. I think I'm going to do some satanic rituals, get some gold blood on it, see what happens.
Yeah. Well, my dog walked over my phone and he's a chihuahua, so I already feel like that put it on a downward spiral.
Well, now you're in big trouble. Speaking of that, how about Ouija boards? Yay
Mhm.
or nay? What do you think?
Yeah, again, I have self-preservation skills, so
Why did I
I
ask
don't
that?
touch them. I don't touch them. Lots of people say there's, like, appropriate ways to use them, which is cool. I'm sure that's true.
Hmm.
Love to talk about it on my show, love to hear more,
Mhm, mhm.
because I like to hear other people's knowledge, but it doesn't mean I'm gonna do it. I have one in my room, very beautiful, love the decor. I have 2 sets of tarot cards. I don't do tarot. My cousin made me. She's like, "You need to give me a tarot reading." I'm like, "I don't know how." She's like, "Learn." So I just like I just like pretty
Okay.
stuff, and I thought the Ouija board was pretty, and same with the tarot card. So there's just like weird random interests, and pretty Ouija boards fall under that. Oh, we
Yeah,
have
yeah.
one in my living room too. That was from my haunted house. Does that count?
Yeah.
Yeah, my parents found it when they moved in. And it's like worn at the edges, and they don't know whose Ouija board it was, so they don't know if someone was trying to summon stuff because
Oh boy.
it was kind of left vacant, but my
Okay.
parents kept it, and, they used to put it out for Halloween, so when I was a child, I thought it was a Halloween decoration. There's no planchette,
Move it
so
around.
it's
Oh,
just
there's no planchette? Okay.
yeah, it's just there. It doesn't seem to be haunted, but it's a used Ouija board from my haunted house that I thought was a Halloween decoration as a
Sophie,
child.
Sophie, no, 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 no. Don't you watch any horror movies? That's
No,
exactly
I
the way
don't.
it starts.
I don't watch horror movies.
My God. We're in
But
big trouble
I'm
now, folks.
fine. I've been living in this house 14 years now. No issues. So
That's good. Okay, good.
good Ouija board. Very good. Maybe like the
Okay.
haunted laptop.
Okay. 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 Well, Ouija boards are weird to me because I was a manager of this retail store, and everybody knew I was into the paranormal. I don't hide it, right? Like,
Yeah.
people come up to me at work still and be like, "Hey, John, blah blah blah," and I'll be like, "Yeah, it's probably your furnace. Don't,
Hmm.
Oh, I felt someone touch me," and I'm like, "Okay, well, you want to do this?" And I walk them to the steps, and I have enough people that I know, I can call them. Like I got like 5 mediums in my phone alone that could be like,
Hmm.
"Hey, Josie, can you like kind of, hey, I'll do it for you, John." Also, I have a pet medium. So if your dogs do die and you want to talk to a pet medium, let me know. I know 2 of them. They can talk to you and soothe you and make you feel better and talk to you about spirits and stuff. It's pretty cool.
I'll do you one better. I had a pug that was a psychic.
How is that possible?
She
Tell
could
me
see
more.
she could see the ghost in our house. Like she literally would violently bark where the ghost was, and when he would enter my room, the diamond doves in my room would like bounce off the sides of the cage. So we call her a psychic pug. She has since passed on, but she was my psychic pug and she really didn't like the ghost in my house. But not many people hear of psychic pugs, and I feel like that's a really underutilized market. Is
That
psychic
really
pugs.
is. I think you're onto something. You
Yeah.
can have your own business. Sophie, psychotic, psychotic,
Well, she was psychotic too. She was a pug. That works as well.
psychic. Yeah. Awesome. But anyway, really quickly, I had one of my, teenagers who, your first job and everything like that. She came to me, and I know this is going to
Mhm.
sound weird, but I say this all the time. But usually when they would come to me, and let me explain before I say this, they would tell me that they got pregnant. Now, I did
Mhm.
not do it. Let's just back off because I know that kind of sounds weird. Like, well, John, they're coming up to you and telling you they're pregnant? Okay, that's a little weird and creepy, John. I don't know what's going on. No, but that's what I would have them tell me. So I know it's like bizarre, right? And I'm like, oh no. If she comes up to me, I'm like, oh, great. Now I got to explain. And I would have to call the parents sometimes because they were too scared. John, can you call my dad and tell him? Oh my, no, I'm not. Get me involved. Anyway, she did this really dumb thing. She
Mhm.
went to with her friends with a Ouija board in a cemetery. Okay. They heard a noise and ran and did not close it. Okay.
Mhm.
So she says, John, I didn't close it. I'm scared. And I'm like, it's going to be okay. Don't worry. Go back and just say goodbye. And I showed her how and everything. That's all you need to do. 2 weeks later, she comes in with her mom, and I'm going, great. Her mom's gonna be like, "What are you telling my kid?" Blah blah blah.
Mhm.
No, the exact opposite. She said, "Hey, John," and she was like really scared and stuff. She goes, "We see shadows in our house, and things are moving and stuff, and they said you could help us." And I'm like, "Okay, there's the problem." So
Yeah.
let's go. Let's go to the cemetery. I will go with you tonight. We will get the Ouija board. We will close it all up. Everything's good. So the mom was like, great. Okay. So we get together. We drive to the cemetery. And guess what? The groundskeeper had mowed over it. So it was completely destroyed. Completely destroyed. So I'm like, okay. And they're still seeing shadows and they can't sleep at night and they're super worried. So I did call one of my medium friends and she's awesome.
Mhm.
And she said, okay, we have a problem. There's something that attached. We got to take care of it. And I said, can you come out? And she's just such a sweetheart. And we got a new Ouija board and we went back out to the cemetery. And it was kind of funny. It was like some weird Scooby-Doo thing where
Yeah.
like these older adults are sitting there. These young kids are sitting there. The medium's sitting there. And we run through it. So we close it and everything. And then the medium goes and she looks around the house and she said, yep, you got a problem here. Don't worry, I will take care of it. And everything was really good. So that's what I always say about Ouija boards. You just got to be careful. If there could be nothing happening, you get spooked and you run away, or it could be something really bad. So that's why I kind of
Yeah.
have a love-hate relationship with it.
That's why I just like admiring them from a distance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing too is they have demon boards. So I had a guest
Mm.
on and she collects demon boards, which are basically for, yes, summoning demons. And I'm like, why would you want that? And she's like,
So you can
it's
make a
really interesting.
possessed laptop.
Right. But at
Like,
least the
really
possessed
obvious.
laptop, we're getting some work done, right? And
Yeah, well,
everything.
but see, that's she's increasing her productivity by getting the demon boards, imbuing the demon into the laptop. It's like a whole it's a process, I'm sure. I don't know her, but that's just what I imagine.
I love it. I love it. So I was right on the Ouija board. I was wrong on the room of cursed dolls. That's okay. We'll change that in the Wikipedia page. What is get into investigations here? What is your favorite investigation and why?
I would say my favorite investigation. So I have a couple. I would say one is the night I investigated with Ghost Adventures because it was just like a lot of fun. I had never experienced the pool area in that way. And my most recent investigation I did because it was a project I had worked on for a really long time. And I had gotten to go to a very historic Gilded Age mansion with some of my friends in the paranormal whom I had never met in person. So it was just an amazing experience to get to work with so many people that I've known for so long. It was my first time going to all the way to the East Coast on the other end, Massachusetts, and my first time investigating over there. So it was a lot of firsts, and it was like an incredible experience. And we all had so much fun that it was memorable because it was not only something I'd worked on for so long, but also just the people there made it really special.
Yeah. And did you have a really good experience? Do you remember an experience there that you're like, oh, this is really kind of cool?
Yeah, we had a lot of experiences. We got some EVPs. We had a lot of the EMF stuff go off, particularly the dead bell went off like crazy, and it was really amazing the responses we were getting with it. Our psychic, April Busette, she's really amazing. She got some incredible stuff there. So, I mean, between the equipment and the psychic, we got a lot of really cool feedback.
Yeah. Was there any like EVPs too? Did you get any cool voices or anything like that?
We do, but it's in editing right now. So I'm like brought up the dead bell before because it's really cool. We did get EVPs. We had on the team Drew Babineau. He brought his DR60 since it was a historic location. We had a historian, Robert Oakes. Like I said, psychic April Busette. So a lot of people I had on my show and had never met in person, and they were so much fun to work with, and I feel like
Yeah.
we had a lot of fun investigating, and it's something that I'm really excited to hopefully be able to share with people soon because it was an awesome investigation at a place that is, I mean, you never would think you'd get to go there and investigate.
That's so cool. I'm guessing you do not do the Estes method.
Yeah, someone tried to put me under once, and I think I just like overthought the entire process, so like I didn't get anything. But then I did it where I was asking the questions at this ghost town in Montana, like
Yeah.
5 years ago, and we
Yeah.
got a lot of really cool stuff. It was definitely really creepy. The ghost there was definitely like intense, but it was a lot of, I wouldn't say fun, but it was really interesting to be on the other side, and it was cool to get so many responses. So yeah, I would say I'm probably not the best candidate to go under because I'm an overthinker,
Absolutely.
so my brain just doesn't shut off, and then
But-
it's like I don't know.
So I don't want to get it too much into the deep psyche of you, but
My
this
dad
could be a
doesn't either.
different podcast. Anyway, so when you mean that, you mean like your mind, like in the Estes method again, folks, is basically you put goggles, they put headphones
Mhm.
on you, so you're just totally in the moment, and
Mhm.
it's supposed to, whatever, your voices, touch, whatever. So what you're saying is, you're sitting there and go, I kind of would like some pizza. Is that?
Well, for me, I'm more like what's gonna come through, and then you hear something and like you don't hear it clear enough, so I'm not gonna try and decipher the voice if I don't know what it
Mhm.
clearly said, and then I'm like, I'm not getting anything. I don't know what that said. That's just really random. And like it's just like you can't even make out what it's saying, and I'm not
Yeah,
gonna like
yeah,
guess. So I'm overthinking the entire process.
yeah.
And yeah, and then it's like, how long have I been under? What's going on?
Yeah.
So it's like it's definitely something you need to allow yourself to be in the moment for, which
Yeah.
I'm just not good at in general. A lot of
Yeah.
psychics are like, if you want to pick something up, sit there, meditate, calm your mind. I'm like, calm my mind? How does someone do that? Oh my God.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. I try to shove like I've been trying to like meditation and everything like that because I have some anxiety, but also I have depression and stuff. So I've been trying to meditate and then my mind just goes, 100
Yeah.
miles an hour, right? And I'm like, what?
Yeah, I was like going to get my hair done, and I was like, the lizard. I didn't feed the lizard. So I'm like, I have a lizard. It's a gecko.
Okay,
But I was just like,
just like,
it's just
wait a
you're
minute.
doing something else, and then you're just like, wait a second, the lizard needs food. So it's like, yeah, I don't think I'm a prime candidate. I can ask questions, great. Been doing that for like 14 years, so
Mhm.
that's no problem. Got that easy. But actually sitting there and allowing yourself to be open enough to the experience, I'm probably not that great at.
Yeah, I hear you. Now let's talk a little bit about your podcast, The Ghost Host. Have you ever had a guest on where you're like, you're kind of not freaking me out in a bad way, but like they're telling, like whether it be a psychic, a medium, or somebody, and you're like, okay, that's really weird,
I would say like a lot of the things the psychics say, just because like I mean
right?
I grew up around psychics, so it's like very
Mm,
normal to me, but they still say
sure.
things that you're just like, you're pretty good there.
I
So
know.
it's just like my dad's adopted, and I found his birth family. Really good at researching online. And so I found his birth family, and we had a psychic on, Stephanie and Stevens. She was just on my show. And my dad's birth sister called in. It was the first time we had ever talked to her. Had not talked to her at all. And Stephanie starts just reading her, and my aunt was just calling in to say hi. And she goes, I'm smelling colon cancer, and I'm seeing a woman in a red sweater. And my aunt, whom we've never talked to, starts crying. And she goes, oh my God, I was just looking at my picture of my friend who was wearing a red sweater, and she
Yeah.
died of colon cancer.
Oh my
And
god.
and mind you, we did not know my aunt. So Stephanie did not know my aunt, and so there was no way for her to know this. And this is literally the first conversation I'm having with my aunt ever.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I hope we didn't scare her off. So that was
Yeah.
a couple of years ago. She's still around, so it's
Okay.
cool. But
Okay.
like,
Good. Okay. Good.
yeah, it's just one of those experiences where you just go,
Yeah.
wow. I've had a
Yeah.
psychic on, Rick Wade, and the first time I ever talked to him was not on my radio show. It was on someone else's, and I called in because I love psychics. I think they're awesome.
I know. So
And
do I.
so I called in, and he goes, I'm seeing this little brown rat. I'm getting chocolate. I had a pet rat named Lee who was brown. And I'm like, wow, he's good. And he literally predicted an earthquake in California, and it happened like 2 weeks later.
Mm.
So that was like, we don't get them here constantly. So for it to be significant like that and it to happen literally like that same week was incredible. And then we also have another psychic friend, Harvey Althouse, and my mom had uterine cancer, and so she was literally in the hospital getting a hysterectomy. And he calls her up and goes, are you okay, Shirley? I just had a feeling I needed to call you and check on you. She's laying in a hospital bed post-op, and he just picked up on that. And so like, even stuff that's not on my show, the things that always get me the most, not even freak me out, but just astound me, is the psychics and their accuracy. And I'm not surprised by it, but I'm still surprised. Like, I'm used to it. When they call up and be like, hey, I'm just getting this feeling, it's not that surprising because I just know them that well. But it's still like,
Yeah.
how do you know this?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you agree every psychic, I don't know if you've asked this, but every psychic and medium and clairvoyant and, they different names and everything like that, they believe we have the gifts. We just have to bring them forward. Do you believe that to be true?
I definitely think to a certain extent that that's definitely true. I don't know to what extent because I don't have their abilities. I think when
But
you
you
think
do,
of
according to
not like that. I'm not gonna call you up and be like, hey, I'm getting this feeling. I don't have that. Like, I don't know about that one. But like when you think about as people in cave people and how they had this innate senses in them to help them survive and pick up on things in the way that you can to this day, even though we're not in survival mode like that, feel someone standing behind you or a presence, and you don't even have to look. It's like, well, we as humans have some sort of sense or ability built into us, I'm sure, from the caveman times and survival and in
Right.
it hasn't gone away. I'm sure that, that may go into psychic senses, being able to sense those things that aren't there, the feeling of being watched and stuff. And so I feel like people can be more in tune to, I guess, themselves as a person and their senses. And I think that that probably also leads to psychic abilities. But it's about openness, and I guess also how sensitive a person is. Obviously, like, I'm sensitive, but I'm not gonna be able to call someone up and be like, hey, are you okay? I just had a feeling. Which people do too. They have deja vu, they get, feelings, but like, I can't pick on someone's dead rat. It's like psychics have it a little bit, I would say, like cranked up to 1,000,000, and whether people can develop that or not, I'm not sure, because I'm not one of those individuals that is down that path.
Yeah. One thing I learned, I just interviewed a psychic on, her name was Terry. She was amazing and stuff. And we were talking about vibration. I don't know if you've had any of the psychics talk to you about that. What's really fascinating to me is I've always been this way. It's super weird. Like, I can go into a room and either people just immediately latch on me, be like, hey, John, what's up? And other people are like, get away from me, whatever kind of attitude. And she was like, it's your vibration. She says, we put out vibrations, we put out energy. And if you're not on the same frequency, that's why it doesn't work. Have you ever had them mention it? You ever hear anything like that? I think that's fascinating that we all have a vibration and, that's how we work. I don't know.
I haven't had any, like, talks about, like, I guess, vibrations or pheromones of why people are, drawn to you or not. One of the psychics we had on, she talks about the power of Om, which I believe is like a form of vibration, and sending that out, like that type of energy. Right. So I would say maybe that kind of leans more into energies and maybe manifestation or something along those wavelengths, sending out your vibrations. But I could be wrong on that, because I haven't studied vibration. My wheelhouse is ghosts, so I'll never claim to know everything, because then I would like, you're always learning in the field, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's the whole point, is, growing and learning and developing. So I feel like, you hear these thoughts and theories, but expanding on them and where maybe things fit together, the vibrations of why someone's drawn to you or not, along with like sending your energy out into the universe to manifest. I feel like, there's probably correlations there, and it's just kind of finding how the puzzle pieces fit together in the world of spiritualism and the paranormal.
I'm fascinated with not only the paranormal, but conspiracy theories and UFOs and cryptids and just mind control and everything like that. It's just because your mind is so powerful. It's like, it sounds cheesy. You can do anything. Let's go, kind of attitude. But it's true. I mean, there's been things that you've been proven that you're just like, that's really weird. And one of them is that we can imagine things like a totem, which is basically you can imagine something. If you think around it a lot, it's going to happen. So, for example, people say like Bigfoot, a lot of the other cryptids, where you just put it in your mind and the universal mind starts thinking together. There's that creature, ghost, whatever. Do you believe in anything like that? If people really just start thinking on whether it be positive or negative, that they could bring something forward or some type of force?
I definitely think that there's a certain truth in that. Like, if you're going out looking for those bad spirits, you're bound to find one at a certain point. I don't know if it's Murphy's Law or the laws of nature, whatever. I definitely think, at least from what I've seen, your intentions, like, a big part of stuff, and in knowing how you want to walk into stuff. And I think, you can manifest stuff and put it out there. And like I said, the project I just worked on, I had created a while ago, and I've worked on it for a while. I loved it. I put so much of my heart into it. And I told my mom in 2024, I was like, this is like January of 2024. I'm like, I'm going to make this year. And I didn't go and work with the team then. We worked in January of 2025, but I started actually working with the team and have everything set up in 2024. I really feel like part of that was just like putting that out there and acting upon it and knowing what you wanted and going for it. And I think that's a big part of manifestation, is, putting stuff out there, but also putting the effort in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the other things with that, and then I got a couple questions before we wrap up here. Spirit guides. I didn't really, a lot of people talk about angels and things, but what I found out from my interviews with psychics and medium stuff, by the way, I have 4 spirit guides. I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I do. And I had a reading done, which I didn't
Mhm.
put up because it got super personal, like you were saying. Like, my spirit guides were talking through her, and she was saying stuff nobody would know unless they broke into my medical records. They broke into, like, called all my friends,
Yeah.
and because I don't put that on the internet, and there's no way she could have known that. Luckily, my spirit guides say I'm doing fine.
Well,
I'm
that's,
doing good.
that's the important part, really, at the end of the day.
No more curse stuff. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, as long as the spirit guides aren't, talking to your friends behind your back, I'd say you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever done a reading and asked about spirit guide?
Don't I my primary focus, like when people say they do past life readings, I've had two on, and the first one I had on, I said, "How did I die?" And he goes, "Most people don't want to know that." And I was like, "Yeah, but how did I die? I want to know." So I haven't asked about spirit guides. I tend to ask more about my past life, but I have been told by psychics that I have a lot of good spirits around me. I don't know if those are my spirit guides or just like my loved
Yeah,
ones.
sure.
Like when I did an
Either one.
investigation recently, like I said, at the Gilded Age house, the psychic there said, she was worried about my co-investigator in one of the areas, but she wasn't worried about me. She said I had a white light around me. And so I think that, I have a lot of people on the other side that I love, and hopefully they're with me. Maybe it's spirit guides, I'm not sure. Maybe they're one and the same. I don't know either. But usually when I ask psychic stuff, it's about, I want to know how I died. The recent reading I got about past life is from Rick Wade, and he said that I was a plague doctor in a past life, which I just think is great.
So
Yeah.
you wore the wacky hat with the big
Mhm.
nose thing and the yeah, that's freaky.
I really wanted to put that in my bio and put former plague doctor Curtin podcast host, because I just thought that
Go
was really
ahead.
inspirational.
Go
I
ahead.
just love that for me. I think that's a great profession I had, just like in beak in Renaissance times, just walking around with like a cape. I could flourish.
You would be awesome. You'd be totally awesome in that.
Thank you. I think
I
so
could
too.
see it now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I think that was really like that's who I am. I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
really
yeah.
deep down is
Yeah.
my past life of a plague doctor.
I would love that, but you know what I want to be? I want to be a Viking. I want to be one of those guys who are raiding and just flipping out on people. Because that's the kind of guy I am. I just like flipping out sometimes.
I
I don't
just
know if
like
that's
that I
good or
could
bad.
just walk around the streets with a beak, flourishing a cape, and I feel like that's really just like very powerful sentiment. And then the
It
other
is.
past life reading I got was that I lived in the middle of the wilderness and I drowned in a lake, and that I had a very close relationship with my neighbor, which like I was talking about today. I'm like, how do I have where's my neighbor in relation to my house? Like, is this like 3 miles I'm walking to talk to my neighbor if I live in the middle of the woods? So then I just like started getting stuck, like, where's my house in relation to my neighbor? Because I just like have to know the details about my past life.
2 things. You had no comment on the Viking thing. You don't think I could have been a Viking and running amok?
No, I
No?
love that for you. If you want to be a Viking, like, I think you
Alright.
should go for that. I think
Okay.
you should search back and find
Y
where you were a Viking.
Yeah, I should do that. You know what the weirdest thing for me, and this sounds bad, but I'm gonna say it anyway, is so, like, I do all this weird stuff too. I go to the
Hmm.
Renaissance fairs and stuff. But, like, when I pick up, like, it's not like a real sword, but when I pick up a sword, I had to tell one of these mediums, like, "It feels right. It feels like I should have that sword." And she was like, "I gotta do a reading on you." And I said, "Let's do a reading," because I know as you're saying that, I feel like I was just this guy just running around being destructive. That's not a great thing. I'm not proud of it, but that's it. There you go. I don't
You're just living the truth of your past life. Like, for me, my mom was like, "Wow, you really connected with plague doctors." Here's what actually happened.
know. Okay.
My aunt kept getting COVID. This is not my dad's sister. This is my mom's sister.
Oh,
She's
okay.
since passed on, not from COVID. And
Mm-hmm.
she kept getting COVID. And so we were supposed to do like a family Thanksgiving. And I said, you know what would be really funny is if I dressed up as a plague doctor at the family Thanksgiving because they keep getting COVID. So I wanted to sit in the middle of my grandmother's den. I wanted to learn Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven. So I was dressed as a plague doctor sitting at a piano playing that. So when my family members walked in, they really felt the atmosphere of the plague at the time.
Yeah.
That never happened. But my mom's like, wow, you really love plague doctors. I'm like, no, I really wanted to mess with my family dressed as a plague doctor.
I love it. I love it. I love it. But okay, just one thing really quick. You drowned in a lake.
Mm-hmm. I shouldn't have lived near one if I couldn't swim.
But what are you doing in the lake?
You know, I can't answer about my death.
Okay.
Maybe it was too traumatic and my past life blocked it from me. But the point is,
sorry.
It's okay. You know what? That's for another me to answer. And I don't have that me in that current life. But I'd love to know. I have a lot of questions about my forest living. I have a lot of questions.
I think everyone
I'm not
does.
meant for that life now. So I think maybe in my past life, I was so over it that in this life, I don't want to live in a forest, which I appreciate because I don't want to live in a forest. I don't like it. I like going to like Jack in the Box 5 minutes from my house.
Yeah, I got you. I think we've learned some really good things with my spooky friends. We're not living in forests. She doesn't have a room of cursed dolls.
No.
I'm some mad, crazy Viking running around.
Plague doctor.
I don't know.
Viking and a plague doctor.
Huh? She's a plague doctor. Let's not forget that.
Well, no, Viking and a plague doctor, which I think is important. That's hit show right there.
I love it. Let's pitch that.
Well, that could be a new ghost on what's that CBS show, Ghosts? They have the Viking.
Yes.
They just need a plague doctor.
That's awesome. We already got a hit. You heard it here first.
A new ghost for the show. I think that's a beautiful thing.
That would be a great ghost. By the way, I like the British version better. I don't know if you've seen the British version of Ghost.
Seen either of them. I see videos on TikTok and I'll just watch them and I'm like, I wonder what a full episode's like, but it's not on Netflix and I'm not going to subscribe to anything else.
All right.
And it's too far into the seasons to watch it on a regular channel.
I hear you. So before we wrap up, I always ask this question of my paranormal investigators and my paranormal friends. We are paranormal friends now. Since you are on my podcast, we're all friends. If I gave you a blank check, I'll become a billionaire tomorrow. I discover something. I'm a billionaire. I call you up and I say, Sophie, you can take my private jet. You can go anywhere you want. You can stay wherever you want and investigate wherever you want. What's the number one place you're going to investigate?
I have one in my head that I can't say because I'm still trying to get in there. But, I would say, I want to go to Poveglia Island, which I do think there's plague doctors on.
Ooh,
so, I gotta revisit my roots. This is not even far from me, but I love old Hollywood. I love old movies, so I'd love to go to the Roosevelt Hotel in Hollywood, California. Because I just love old movies. I was watching a 1930s mystery movie last night with my mom. I just I'm so fascinated by old Hollywood. So for me, that's one of the things. I'd love to go to those places. Hence why I have beef with Pia Zadora.
Pia Zadora, she sucks. That's all we're gonna say.
Tear down a historic home.
Come on.
That's so hurtful.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
That hurt me in all my lives. The forest life, the plague doctor, and this one.
I don't know what's going on.
Mary Pickford in Douglas Fairbanks' house. That's what she bought. And she tore it down because of termites, which were apparently actually ghosts. Sell it. If it's haunted, sell it. Don't tear it down. She tore it down. And it's Mary Pickford in Douglas Fairbanks' house. And it was called Pick Fair, and she tore it down, and I will never forgive her. And she doesn't know I exist, but I will never forgive her.
Pia Zadora is on the list. That's all I have to say.
She's on my list. I'm very upset about it. I was so mad.
I know that home. I've seen that home in movies and other things. It's gorgeous.
Oh, well, thank Pia Zadora.
Oh, Pia Zadora, you can pee off. Yeah, that's terrible.
Now you understand my anger. I like to transfer that to other people so we can just be collectively angry in the paranormal about historic locations that are haunted being torn down.
Yeah. Come on, man. What are we doing? Yeah. And obviously it's not that house. There's been a lot of homes over the years that have been torn down. Well, this ain't a home, but you've heard of Bobby Mackey's that got torn down. But there was a reason why. It was kind of a dump. So it had to be torn down.
Do understand safety concerns. So I'm not gonna I mean, like,
Yeah.
you can only then it becomes the ship of
Yeah.
Thebes. You know, you replace each board, and
Absolutely.
then is it still the ship of Thebes?
Yeah, right. Exactly. That was one of my places I wanted to go to investigate. My place, I tell this all the time, Transylvania. I'm going to Dracula's castle.
Oh yeah, that's a cool one too. I'd love to go there.
Oh, it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous because nobody goes there because Hollywood just, you love old movies, right? So all the old Frankenstein and Dracula movies, they made Transylvania look like, well, just a crap hole. But it's absolutely gorgeous because nobody goes there. I mean, you look at pictures on Google and stuff, you're like, damn, this place is really cool. So I'm gonna get to there one day. Whether I'm a billionaire or not, I'm going to figure that out. So, and just go to Dracula's castle and check it out. I think that'd be pretty cool because there's been some pretty cool investigations in there, and I'd love to do that. So cool. So, Sophie, can you tell my spooky friends before we wrap up here what's going on? You know, who you going to have on for guests, and what's some new things you popping out there?
Yeah, so you guys can listen to my show. It's now on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts. The ghost host Sophia Temperilli. You can follow me on Twitter at Ghost Host Show and hear about all the upcoming guests at Sophia Temperilli with 1L. Instagram at Sophia Temperilli. You can like the ghost host Sophia Temperilli on Facebook. You can find some of our past interviews on YouTube under the ghost host Sophia Temperilli. Upcoming, well, today I just recorded a show with Costa Rican investigator Israel Brontes, and that will be airing next week. Upcoming, we have Jen Gallarducci and Coco Lee of the Appalachian I can't remember the group name, but they're from Appalachia. And then we have on Tawny Lewis, Greg Vine. So those are some of the guests from May. So the pretty cool shows. Have all the shows, like I said, on Spotify of the recent ones. And I hope you guys enjoy it if you check it out. And also, you can check out Women on the Fringe, Groundbreaking Women in the Paranormal. That was a book where my story was featured in, and I was also in issue 3 of Ghosted magazine.
I love it. I love it. All that will be in the episode notes, and I will put out as much as I can do to support Sophie because she's amazing. I've had an amazing conversation. We have learned so much in this. We could probably talk even more about of all the other strange things going on out there and all the new news and everything. And I love it. And I'd love to have you back on sometime. Or if you want to have me, like I said, I'm always willing to be a guest. One of the things too is I do around Halloween. I've done some roundtables with mediums as well as other paranormal investigators. One of the things is I wanted to do, and I've been talking to all my great women and powerful women in the paranormal because we couldn't do this without you. You guys are amazing, and I love you all because, you know, it's hard. It's a different thing. So I'm trying to do a roundtable, maybe around Halloween, where you guys can talk about all these different things where you're affected and how it's done differently. So I'll have to let you know. Hopefully you could join that because that would be really exciting because, like I said, I love my women in the paranormal, you know, because again, it's not necessarily a lot of women drift towards it, you know?
Mhm.
And promise me this, Sophie, that for Halloween, you got to dress up like a plague doctor if you haven't already and put it out there. I mean,
I
come on.
keep just trying to let my cousin let me do it at family events, and she keeps telling me no. They were down for Easter, and I wanted to dress up as Frank the Rabbit, and she also told me no. And I was like, but the children could have pictures, and she said no.
Yeah.
She never lets me
All
be
right.
fun, and so sad.
What's
But
wrong with her?
I know, I ask her that all the time. I appreciate you having me on, and I would definitely love to be back on in the future.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, Sophie. And you have a great, you know, time with all the new events and stuff coming up. And stay spooky. Thanks, Sophie.
Thanks.
Bye bye now.